As expected, the real estate market here in Durham Region continued to cool off in December, with prices dropping a little bit further and sales slowing down. But what might have been a little unexpected is just how much we saw inventory levels fall, and we'll talk about that in today's video, along with what does this mean for our market moving forward as we continue to inch closer and closer to the upcoming spring market. I usually don't like to overanalyze December's numbers too much because things do slow down to a point that some of the stats are not always a fair representation of what's really happening in the market just because of how much it does slow down. But December and this time of the year are starting to lay the foundation for our spring market. We'll also take a look at it from both perspectives, and I'll give some advice for buyers and sellers. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jessie McLellan, and I'm a realtor here in Oshawa, Ontario with the Lisa Abbott team. I make videos to keep you up to date on the real estate market and also to help you make informed decisions when it comes to buying or selling a home here in Durham Region. If you've followed our real estate market at all over the last few years, you've seen how up and down it can be, and I believe that people who educate themselves on the market conditions and the areas they're buying or selling in are the ones who will make the best and most informed decisions that they're happier with long term. So if you're planning on buying or selling a home here this year, or if you just want to stay up to date on the Durham Region real estate market, then subscribe to the channel. And if you watch this video and have any questions for me about buying or selling a home in the Durham Region or surrounding areas, you can use the link in the description to book a call with me at a time that works best for you. So let's jump in. The average price of all home types in Durham Region dropped 2.5% during the month of December, which means we ended the year with an average price of $860,622. And despite that being nearly 14% or about $140,000 lower than when we saw peak pricing this year in June, it's actually only 2.9% or about $26,000 lower than what we saw from January's average price. This is the silly or almost deceiving thing about real estate prices and looking at it from a what did we start with and what did we end with perspective. The market may have only dropped 2.9% from where we started the year, but when you see the entire timeline and just how much prices went up before they came back down, you can really see how this would affect home purchasers throughout the year very differently. Although if you did purchase a home during one of the higher priced months this year, just keep in mind that prices fluctuated a lot with where interest rates were this year. So could you have waited and bought a similar home for less money? Yeah, probably. But depending on what rates would be available to you at that time, you might have ended up paying more monthly anyway. If you're happy with your home, you're comfortable with the payment, and you've given yourself a reasonable timeline to be there, don't get caught up in every little fluctuation in the market, especially if it's going to add stress to your day. Now let's take a look at where we ended for sales and listings, because this is where it gets really interesting to me. Durham Region had 468 sales during the month of December, which is a 13.3% decline month over month, which is normal to see a drop in activity from November to December, but the number of new listings that came onto the market was just 472. A 62.5% decrease from November. So why is this interesting to me? Well, because if we take a look at the number from December of 2022, the difference in number of listings was only 3% higher this year. We had 472 in 2023 and 458 in December of 2022. So very similar activity on the listing side, but a much bigger drop off from November to December in 2023 than we had in 2022. But for sales, we had 23% higher sales in December 2023 than we did in December of the year prior, with 468 sales most recently and only 380 for December of 2022. And this is where a lot of our active listings that we had seen build up in the market gradually throughout the year disappear. Had we seen a larger drop in sales and buyer activity month over month like we saw on the listing side of things, our active listings would be considerably higher and a lot closer to where I thought it would be at the end of the year, which was around or just above 1,000 active listings. But instead, we ended the year with just 862 active listings on our MLS system for Durham Region. A 40% decline from November, but still a 19% increase over last year's numbers. So overall, we're still in better shape from an inventory standpoint than we were last year, but probably not as good as we should have been when looking at where inventory levels were in October and November. I'd also like to take a second and look at why this might have happened. Because basically sellers fled the market during December. We saw that massive drop off in listings, but we also saw a lot of terminated, expired, and suspended listings too. From what I can see, almost 1,000 listings terminated, suspended, or expired in November and over 600 in December. And we don't have to dig too far to see why sellers may not love December. The weather is what it is, the market is slow, prices are at their lowest, and there's not much going on in the seller's favor. But on the buyer's side, we saw that jump in sales over the last December, so it felt like buyers were much more active. And when I checked the data for the number of showings, that seemed true. And the gorgeous weather that we were having could have contributed to it as well. According to our office, which tracks stats for well over 100 agents in the Durham region, they had shown an 18.2% increase in number of showings in December of 2023 compared to December of 2022. And the system that we use to book showings across our board also show a similar story, with 28% more showings booked in December of 2023 when compared to 2022. Personally, I would attribute this slight bump in activity from buyers to the fact that we've seen low 5% and even sub 5% fixed rates being offered from some major lenders. There's a lot of anticipation that the Bank of Canada will drop the interest rates at some point in 2024. And while that's a discussion for another video, and you can absolutely watch my 2024 Outlook video if you want to see more on that, but because of the expected rate cuts, we've seen a lot more major lenders offering lower fixed rates from around mid-November onward. And this is something I've covered multiple times on my channel. We can look back and see that when lower rates are available to buyers, buyer activity increases, leading to higher number of sales. And if inventory levels are not able to support the increased number of sales, prices will increase as well, just as we saw during the spring market of 2023. Being this was in December, we didn't see enough sales activity to see a bump in price, but between increased sales and low number of new listings and a high number of terminated and suspended listings, that's where a lot of built up inventory was eaten up, and our market is going to have to make that inventory up fairly quickly if it wants to avoid another spring market like we saw last year. Here's what you should be paying attention to moving forward. Both buyers and sellers should keep an eye on the number of active listings we have. Our local real estate board updates the numbers each month in the housing report. You can just Google Durham Region Housing Report and it will come up. And I track it in my market update videos as well. But the number of active listings we had and where it's trending, along with the number of sales and new listings, is really going to help you get an idea of where the market may be trending overall. If you're a seller, you would probably like to see something like we saw last year, where the number of transactions increases faster and sooner than we see an increase to new listings, while at the same time lower fixed rates being offered due to expected rate cuts. That recipe is why we saw prices jump so high and so fast last spring. But also be careful what you wish for, because if you're buying in that market too, you'll end up paying a lot more on the purchase side. And my advice to you is that whenever you decide is the right time to sell your home, you really need to evaluate the market conditions and who your competition is at the time. You can search online, or I can send you a list of homes for you to see for yourself if you'd like, but the homes that are sitting on the market usually don't show well either online or in person or both, or they're not priced correctly. Let's say, for example, when you go to list your home, there's 3 months of inventory in your local real estate market. That means that out of all of the homes listed for sale, only 33% of them are going to sell that month. So your home has to show well online and in person, and it has to be priced correctly, because even if it's missing one of those things and there's another home out there that checks all those boxes, the buyers are going to look at those homes instead, and you'll end up one of the 67% of homes that don't sell that month. If you do have any questions, I'm happy to walk you through your options, so feel free to reach out to me. And if you're a buyer, you'll probably want to see the opposite happen in the market. You'll want to see new listings pick up a lot between now and mid-March, and hope that these lower rates that are still available don't cause a rush of buyers to enter the market while sellers are sitting on the sidelines waiting for more favorable conditions. There are still a lot of really good deals available like we saw in December. Those lower rates are still available, but the buyer activity hasn't flooded the market yet, so you're in a really good spot if you're a buyer now. Favorable market conditions, slightly lower rates offered, but the market is still slow and fairly uncompetitive. competitive. But that's not going to last long as we get closer and closer to March. A lot of the new listings I've seen come up so far this year are from very motivated sellers. I've seen a number of power of sale properties and also homes that were listed at multiple points last year but didn't sell, and they have now adjusted their price and are trying again. There's a lot of really good opportunities if you're in the market at this time. And we'll likely see that trend continue as all of those sellers who terminated, suspended, or had their listing expire are likely going to have to relist their home sometime in the near future. It just might come down to a race between, will buyers flood the market first and cause price increases, or will sellers flood the market first and cause a very neutral spring market? Let me know what you think below. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. The link is there if you'd like to book a call and speak with me about buying or selling a home here. Thanks so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!